Listen closely, because what I am about to tell you will fundamentally change how you view humanity. You think you know them? You think those soft-skinned, weak-boned creatures are harmless? I ran the most prestigious sinological preserve in 7-star systems, and I quit my dream job because of one human. Just one. Her name was Kira Volkov, and she turned my entire career into an absolute nightmare, in the most spectacular way possible. Let me paint you a picture of Paradise Lost. The Dravency Conservation Complex sprawled across 200 square kilometers of perfectly replicated habitats. We housed over 3,000 species from 40 different worlds, each one more dangerous than the last. My specialty: apex predators, the kind of creatures that made grown soldiers weep and seasoned hunters reconsider their life choices. I am Torvik Green, senior xenobiologist and head curator. 23 years of experience, 3 doctorate degrees, 24 commendations from the Galactic Conservation Alliance. I had handled everything from the crystalline scaled serpents of Vexor Prime, the glass-scaled serpents of Vexor Prime, to the shadow stalkers of Umbra 7. I knew these animals better than I knew my own clutchmates. Then the humans joined the Galactic Council. Everyone said it would be fine. They are just primitives, we thought. Barely space-worthy. What harm could they possibly do in a controlled scientific environment? Oh, how wrong we were. Kira arrived on a Tuesday morning. Standard exchange program, they called it. Cultural integration. Scientific cooperation. All the bureaucratic nonsense that sounds good in committee meetings but falls apart spectacularly in practice. She walked into my office wearing their ridiculous Earth clothing, denim pants and something called a hoodie, carrying a worn backpack that had definitely seen better days. Young by human standards, maybe 25 of their years. Dark hair pulled back in what they call a ponytail. Brown eyes that seemed to catalogue everything in my office within seconds. Dr. Green? Her voice carried that peculiar human accent, all hard consonants and rolling vowels. I am Kira Volkov, your new behavioral specialist. The humans had sent a behavioral specialist to study the most dangerous predators in known space. I clicked my mandibles in what I hoped approximated a welcoming gesture. Miss Volkov, welcome to Dravency Complex. I trust your journey was, comfortable. Long? But yeah, pretty smooth. 18 months in cryo-sleep goes by fast when you are unconscious. She grinned, showing those flat omnivore teeth. So where are the animals? I have been reviewing the files during transit. Your collection is incredible. At least she had done her homework. Points for that. We will begin with observation protocols, I explained, pulling up holographic displays of our most dangerous residents. Safety procedures take priority. These creatures have evolved as apex predators on worlds far more hostile than Earth. One mistake could be fatal. She leaned forward, studying the rotating images with disturbing intensity. This one, the Kralthan Shadewolf. Pack hunter, right? Coordinated ambush tactics, sonic disruption for disorienting prey, heat-sensing pits behind the facial plates. I blinked all 3 of my eyes in succession. She had memorized the files. Actually memorized them. Correct. They are from Krath Major, a world where the primary prey species evolved active camouflage. The shade wolves compensate through multi-sensory hunting strategies. Fascinating. Her eyes gleamed with something I could not quite identify. Excitement? Curiosity? Madness? Can I meet them? Observation only, for the first month. Standard protocol. She nodded, but I caught that look. That particular human expression that suggested agreement in theory but rebellion in practice. The first week proceeded normally. Kira observed from the safety platforms, taking endless notes on her portable datapad. She asked intelligent questions, respected boundaries, followed every safety protocol to the letter. I should have known better. Humans are ambush predators in their own right. They lull you into complacency before striking. The incident occurred on day 9. I was conducting routine health assessments in the medical bay when my communicator exploded with panicked alerts. Multiple staff members, all reporting the same impossible thing. The human was inside the Kralthan habitat. I ran, all four of my legs pumping as fast as they could carry me through the administrative corridors. My secondary heart kicked into overdrive. 23 years without a serious incident, and now a human was about to become the first casualty on my watch. I reached the observation deck expecting carnage, blood, horror, the end of my career. Instead, I found Kira sitting cross-legged in the center of the habitat, surrounded by 6 full-grown shade wolves. Not attacking, not even stalking, they were sitting in a semicircle, watching her with those predatory eyes that usually preceded violent death. "What in the name of the eternal void is she doing?" whispered Jalith, my assistant curator. His scales had turned pale green with fear. Kira was making noises, soft rhythmic sounds that seemed to catch the wolves' attention. Then she moved, slowly standing, her posture relaxed but deliberate. She tilted her head, exposing her throat in what should have been a fatal mistake. The alpha wolf, a massive male we had named Striker, approached her. Every muscle in my body tensed. Striker sniffed her extended hand. Then, impossibly, he sat down. "She is dead," Jalith muttered. "She is absolutely dead. He is playing with his food." But Striker was not attacking. He was, and I still struggle to believe this, listening. Kira was speaking to him in low tones. We could not hear from the observation deck. Her hands moved in slow, measured gestures. The other wolves remained perfectly still, their attention locked on her every movement. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then an hour. Finally, Kira walked calmly to the habitat entrance. The wolves watched her go but made no move to follow or attack. She keyed the access code, stepped through the safety barrier, and looked up at the observation deck with that infuriating human smile. "Sorry, Karma, Dr. Green. I noticed some interesting behavioral patterns, and thought direct observation would be more informative. I nearly molted my exoskeleton from stress. You, could, have, been, killed." Each word dropped like stones. "Those are Kralthan shade wolves. They are not domesticated. They are not safe. What possessed you to enter their habitat without authorization? They are pack hunters, right?" Kira climbed the stairs to our level, completely unruffled. "Pack hunters need hierarchy. I established dominance through non-threatening confidence. Basic canine psychology. They are not canines. They are alien predators." "Yeah, but the underlying pack dynamics are similar. Alpha structures, submission displays, social bonding through mutual respect." She shrugged. "Wolves are wolves, whether they are from Earth or Croft Major. That should have been my first warning. That casual dismissal of millions of years of divergent evolution. That assumption that human experience translated universally across the galaxy." I filed an incident report, recommended immediate removal from the program, cited safety violations and reckless endangerment. The administrators overruled me. Apparently the human diplomats had made Kira's placement a priority. Cultural exchange could not be interrupted over one minor incident. Minor incident. The human had committed suicide by predator and somehow survived through sheer audacity. The next week, things escalated. I found Kira in the Vrexian prowler enclosure. The prowlers were solitary ambush hunters, 800 kilograms of muscle and fury wrapped in armor plating. They killed for sport. They had no pack instincts, no social structures, nothing to appeal to. Kira was teaching one of them to fetch. "Look, Dr. Gray." She waved enthusiastically as I stood frozen in horror on the observation platform. "His name is Boris now. I named him. Watch this." She threw a large branch across the enclosure. Boris, a creature that had mauled 2 handlers during capture, bounded after it like an oversized puppy. He brought it back and dropped it at her feet, his tail appendage wagging. His tail appendage was wagging. "How?" I managed to croak. "How is this possible?" "Enrichment, doctor. These guys are bored. You keep them fed and safe, but they have no mental stimulation, no challenges, no engagement with their environment. Kira scratched Boris behind his auditory ridge. The prowler made a sound suspiciously similar to purring. Give them puzzles, social interaction, novel experiences, and they become completely different animals. They are killing machines. They are intelligent predators, with complex behavioral needs. There is a difference. Over the following weeks, I watched my carefully maintained preserve transform into something unrecognizable. Kira moved through habitats like a force of nature, treating apex predators like misunderstood pets. The Theronian manticores learned to play tactical games. The Zephian raptors started performing coordinated aerial displays for treats. The Golvax crushers, creatures that could demolish reinforced steel, began following Kira around like devoted servants. But the real problem started when she began teaching them. End of part 1. Wait. I need to continue to reach 2,000 words as requested. Teaching. That was the word that would haunt me forever. I discovered her real agenda quite by accident. Late one evening, I was reviewing security footage from the Kralthan habitat when I noticed something odd. The wolves were moving differently. Their hunting patterns had changed. They were using tactics I had never observed in 20 years of studying the species. I pulled up older footage for comparison. The difference was staggering. Where before they had relied on simple pack coordination, now they executed complex multi-stage ambushes. They used terrain in sophisticated ways. They employed diversionary tactics and coordinated strikes that suggested planning and communication far beyond their documented intelligence. Then I saw it. Kira, in the habitat again, this time at night. She was not just observing, she was demonstrating, running through mock hunts, showing the wolves how to flank from unexpected angles, how to use shadow and sound to confuse prey, how to coordinate attacks across multiple vectors simultaneously. She was teaching earth hunting techniques to alien predators. Chalith, Karma, I called my assistant over. Please tell me I am hallucinating from stress. He watched the footage, his scales cycling through colors that indicated profound distress. She is Karma, upgrading them, making them better hunters. Why would she do this? Perhaps we should ask her. We found Kira in the cafeteria the next morning eating something humans called oatmeal with a disturbing amount of what appeared to be brown sugar. Miss Volkov Connor. I sat down across from her, trying to maintain professional composure. We need to discuss your activities in the Kralthan habitat. Oh, the advanced training sessions? She smiled brightly. It is going great. They have picked up ambush tactics way faster than I expected. Really intelligent animals. You are teaching them to hunt more effectively. Well, yeah. That is kind of my whole thing. She took another bite of oatmeal. Behavioral enrichment through skill development. Keeps their minds sharp, maintains their natural instincts, prevents the psychological deterioration common in captive predators. They are already the most effective hunters on their home world. Where, Dr. Green, past tense. In here, they are captive, bored, losing their edge. I am just helping them maintain their evolutionary advantages. Jalith leaned forward, his concern obvious. What happens when we release them back into the wild? They will have hunting advantages their prey species never evolved to counter. The ecological balance could collapse. Kira paused, her expression turning serious for the first time since I had met her. Then we teach the prey species defensive strategies too. Evolution is not static, Doctor. Adaptation is constant. We are just, accelerating the process a bit. That was when I realized the full scope of what was happening. This human was not just studying our apex predators. She was fundamentally changing them, enhancing them, turning them into something beyond their natural state. And she was doing it with the casual confidence of someone who thought interfering with millions of years of evolution was perfectly reasonable. I should have stopped her right then. Should have called security. Should have done anything other than what I actually did, which was absolutely nothing. Because deep down, in a part of myself I refused to acknowledge, I wanted to see what would happen next. The situation spiraled completely out of control within 3 weeks. Kira had moved beyond simple behavioral training. She was conducting what she called advanced tactical seminars with species that should never, under any circumstances, learn to cooperate with each other. I discovered this particular nightmare on a routine inspection of the multi-species observation arena. This was a controlled space, where we occasionally allowed different predators to interact under heavily supervised conditions, mostly for research purposes. Strict protocols, maximum safety measures, never more than 2 species at a time. Kira had 7 different apex predators in there, together, working as a team. What in the name of every celestial body in the universe are you doing? My voice cracked across 3 different frequency ranges, something that only happened when I was experiencing existential terror. She stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by creatures that should have been tearing each other apart. The Kralthan Shade Wolves, 3 Vrexian prowlers including Boris, a pair of Theronian manticores, 2 Zephian raptors perched on elevated platforms, and most terrifyingly, a juvenile Gulvax crusher that weighed approximately 400 kilograms. Team building exercise, Karma Doctor. Kira waved cheerfully. Watch this. Boris, flank left. Striker, center distraction. Manticores, aerial pressure. Ready? Execute. What happened next violated every principle of xenobiology I had ever learned. The animals moved in perfect coordination. Boris and the other prowlers swept wide, using terrain features for cover. Striker and his pack created a noisy distraction in the center. The manticores launched into the air, their shadow presence creating psychological pressure from above. The raptors provided reconnaissance from their elevated positions. And the crusher, that massive wall of armored muscle, positioned itself to cut off any escape route. They executed a military-grade ambush pattern against a target dummy, thankfully, not a living creature, but still, the implications were absolutely horrifying. You see? Kira grinned with obvious pride. Different evolutionary backgrounds, different hunting strategies, but the underlying principles of coordination remain consistent. They just needed someone to translate between their various communication methods. You taught them interspecies tactical cooperation. I was not asking. I was stating a fact that my brain still refused to fully process. Technically, I facilitated cross-cultural understanding through practical application of universal predatory dynamics. She shrugged. Tomato, tomato. Those words mean the same thing. Exactly my point, Connor Doctor. Jalith pulled me aside, his scales now cycling through colors I had never seen before. Possibly new colors invented specifically for this level of stress. We have to report this to someone. The administrators, the Galactic Council, the Conservation Alliance, literally anyone who can shut this down. He was right. Absolutely right. This had gone far beyond behavioral research into something genuinely dangerous. But before I could act, the universe decided to demonstrate exactly how dangerous. The escape happened on day 47 of Kira's tenure. A catastrophic containment failure in the eastern sector. Equipment malfunction, combined with a freak atmospheric storm. 17 different enclosures compromised simultaneously. Over 200 apex predators loose in the surrounding wilderness preserve. Standard protocol called for immediate lockdown. Tranquilizer teams, containment drones. Systematic recapture that would take weeks and risk dozens of lives. Kira had a different idea. Let me handle it. She stood in the emergency operations center, completely calm while everyone else panicked around her. Absolutely not, I snapped. This is a level 9 containment breach. We have trained professionals for this situation. Your trained professionals will get killed. These animals know this territory now. They have been planning this for days. That stopped me cold. Planning? What do you mean planning? Kira pulled up security footage on the central display. Time-stamped images from the past week, showing the animals behaving oddly near their enclosure barriers, testing weaknesses, coordinating movements between adjacent habitats, deliberately triggering minor system alerts to study response patterns. They have been conducting reconnaissance, Doctor. The storm just gave them the opportunity they were waiting for. This was not an accident. This was a coordinated breakout. The entire operations center fell silent. Every species present, from the insectoid threx to the aquatic meridians, stared at the evidence with growing horror. Apex predators from 40 different worlds had cooperated to engineer their own escape. How is this possible? Jalith whispered. They should not have the cognitive capacity for this level of planning. They did not, I said slowly, the terrible realization crystallizing. Wait, no, solidifying in my mind. Not before Kira arrived. She had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. In my defense, increased intelligence and problem-solving ability are positive outcomes for captive predators. Better than the alternative of psychological deterioration. You gave them the tools to escape. I gave them the tools to think. What they did with those tools was their choice. She grabbed her equipment pack. Now, are you going to let me fix this? Or do you want to explain to the Galactic Conservation Alliance why your facility just released 200 enhanced apex predators into an unprepared ecosystem? I made the worst decision of my career. You have 12 hours. After that, we deploy lethal containment measures. Kira nodded and headed for the exit. Then she paused, looking back with that infuriating human smile. Oh, and Dr. Green, you might want to come along. You are not going to believe how I am going to do this. Against every instinct screaming for self-preservation, I followed her. We took a transport vehicle to the breach point. The storm had passed, leaving the preserve shrouded in an eerie fog. Sensor readings showed predator signatures scattered across 50 square kilometers. Some were hunting, others were establishing territories. A few were already fighting each other for dominance. Nature reasserting itself in the most violent way possible. Kira stood at the edge of the wilderness, closed her eyes and made a sound. It started low, almost subsonic. Then it rose through frequencies I could barely perceive, modulating and shifting in ways that seemed impossible for organic vocal cords to produce. It was not language. It was something deeper, primal, a call that resonated with something fundamental in predatory consciousness, and the animals responded. From the fog, shapes emerged. The Kralthan shade wolves arrived first, Stryker leading his pack in tight formation. Then Boris and the other prowlers, moving with liquid grace through the underbrush. The manticores descended from above. The raptors circled overhead. Even the crusher, that living tank of destruction, came lumbering out of the mist. They formed a perimeter around Kira, waiting, listening. Here is the deal, she addressed them like they were attending a business meeting. You got out. You proved you could. Point made. But this is not your ecosystem. You do not belong here. The prey species are wrong. The territory is unfamiliar. And if you stay out here, the administrators will send kill teams because they will panic and overreact. She paused, letting that sink in. I watched the animals process her words, their body language suggesting actual comprehension. So here is what happens next. You come back, voluntarily. We redesign your habitats with your input. More space, more complexity, more challenges, better enrichment protocols. You get treated like the intelligent beings you are, not just specimens to observe. She crossed her arms. Or you stay out here and in a few days you are either dead or captured and shipped to facilities that will not be nearly as nice as mine. The silence stretched for an eternity. Then Stryker took a step forward. The alpha wolf looked at Kira, then at me, then back to her. He made a low sound, somewhere between a growl and a question. Kira glanced at me. He wants to know if you are actually going to follow through on the habitat redesign. If this is a trick, how do you know what he is asking? Body language, vocal patterns, context. Pretty obvious if you pay attention. She turned back to Stryker. Dr. Gree is a good person. Bit uptight, maybe, but he genuinely cares about your welfare. He will honor the agreement. All eyes turned to me. Human eyes, wolf eyes, prowler eyes. Dozens of apex predators waiting for my response. I clicked my mandibles in the affirmative gesture. Redesigned habitats, full consultation on environmental modifications, increased enrichment protocols. You have my word. What happened next will stay with me until my final molting. The animals turned around and walked back toward the complex. All of them, 200 apex predators from 40 different worlds, voluntarily returning to captivity because a human had negotiated a better deal. No tranquilizers, no containment teams, no violence, just conversation and mutual agreement. We walked back in silence, this impossible parade of predators, following Kira like she was some kind of interstellar shepherd. The operations center staff watched through surveillance feeds with expressions of complete disbelief. By evening, every escaped animal was back in their enclosure. 0 casualties, 0 injuries, a perfect resolution to what should have been a catastrophic disaster. The administrators called it a miracle. They praised my leadership and crisis management. They offered me commendations and awards. I submitted my resignation the next morning. You are leaving? Kira found me packing my office. But why? Everything worked out. Everything worked out because you fundamentally altered the nature of every creature in this facility. You gave them intelligence they should not possess. Coordination abilities beyond their natural evolution. The capacity to negotiate their own captivity. I turned to face her. Do you understand what you have done? The implications. I gave them agency, Doctor. The ability to make informed choices about their own existence. Is that really so terrible? Yes, because now those abilities will pass to their offspring. Every animal you have trained will teach their young. Those behaviors will spread through populations if they ever breed in the wild. You have altered the evolutionary trajectory of 40 different species. Kira was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, soft and slightly sad. Evolution happens, Dr. Green. Sometimes naturally, sometimes with help. Humans did not get to where we are alone. We had help too. Dogs, horses, cats, dozens of species that chose partnership over pure survival. Maybe the galaxy is ready for that kind of relationship between humans and other apex predators. Or maybe you have created super predators that will devastate ecosystems across dozens of worlds. Maybe. But I do not think so. Because the most important thing I taught them was not hunting techniques or tactical coordination. She hefted her pack. I taught them that cooperation achieves better outcomes than pure aggression. That intelligence applied thoughtfully beats instinct every time. That there is strength in choosing to work together. She headed for the door, then paused. Besides, someone has to stick around and manage the new habitat designs. Make sure the animals actually get what they were promised. You should stay, Doctor. This is just getting interesting. But I could not. I had dedicated my life to preservation, to maintaining the natural order, to studying these creatures as they evolved over millions of years. Kira had upended all of that in 47 days. I left Draventi Complex and never returned. Last I heard, Kira was promoted to Chief Behavioral Director. The facility became the premier xenological research center in the galaxy. Scientists from hundreds of worlds came to study her methods, her revolutionary approaches to interspecies communication. Some call her a genius. Others call her dangerous. Me? I call her the reason I switched to botanical research. Plants do not coordinate prison breaks or negotiate habitat improvements. But late at night when I review the old security footage from my time at Draventi, I see those animals, not as specimens or subjects or examples of evolutionary success. I see them as individuals, thinking, planning, choosing. And I wonder if maybe, just maybe, Kira was right all along. Humans did not just join the galactic community, they brought their particular brand of chaos with them. The kind that looks at millions of years of evolution and says, yeah, but what if we made it better? That is humanity for you. They find the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy and teach them advanced military tactics, all while calling it behavioral enrichment. And somehow, impossibly, it works.